Hi, my name is Peter Merry, and I'm just going to give you a brief introduction to the UbiPass product that we are developing at the moment. So the UbiPass is designed to be a global skills passport for anybody. It's mapped against global industry standards and enables you to see which skills do you need in order to be able to do a certain job, or which skills you need in order to be able to get a certain qualification. It looks at which skills you have now and what the gap is. And what eventually we'll be able to do is then recommend learning opportunities to develop specific competencies, as well as get your skills validated by a learning institute or by a previous employer. So what you're seeing at the moment is the matching system for my profile of skills. We have mapped them against occupations and against qualifications. And you can see that we have also mapped the occupations to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, more as an awareness raising feature. But if you click on one of these, you actually go to a group on our social learning platform, the Ubiverse, where you can find out more about that topic. This database is rooted in over 19,000 skills that were developed over a period of about 10 years by the Australian government with all the different industry sectors, with the purpose of being able to see whether skills people were bringing into the country from another country mapped well against the Australian system. So what they needed to do was to create a global framework based on industry standards internationally, so that you'd be able to see the equivalency between skills from one place and skills from another place. So here you can see you can search by job sector, for example. So if you go into business, human resource and marketing professionals, here you'll see all the different occupations that are related to that, or you can go straight to occupations, and there's nearly 600 occupations in the database. Or you can go and search by qualifications. So there's over 1,400 qualifications here, from just in the A's, accounting, aeronautical, engineering, through to Ayurveda. So a very broad range of qualifications, all defined by the relevant industry sector. So at the moment, in this beta version, we have just enabled you to create your own skills profile by searching essentially ones that you feel that you have. And as you can see, there's quite a broad selection here, from very business-focused ones, this is my profile, to contribute to personal development. There's also an emotional intelligence one, develop and use emotional intelligence. I have a theatre background, so create and tell stories I can add. I also play in a band, so develop ensemble skills for playing or singing music. So you can really create a very holistic skills profile for your life. And then once you have that profile, you can look at the matches between your profile and between possible occupations and possible industry standard qualifications. So if, for example, I say, oh, look, I'm 78% along the way to an advanced diploma in leadership and management, then it will show me, okay, I've got 3 of the key skills, I'm missing 1. And when you go into the skill, you see a huge amount of detail here on the performance criteria needed to really demonstrate that you've got that skill. So what that enables, and this is the same for all of the skills in this database, is it enables a very rigorous recognition of prior learning or prior learning assessment for skills that people say they have developed in other parts of their life. And then here you know exactly what the evidence is that you need to be able to provide. Or let's say you ask a previous employer to validate that you have this skill. They know here exactly what it is that you need to have been able to show you can do in order for them to say, yes, indeed, this person has this skill, or maybe they have it for 80% or 70% roughly, based on all the different criteria here. So this is the most detailed skills database internationally available at the moment. And because it was developed with the industry sectors, it really has global applicability. Now, where we are now with this development is what we want to do next is enable, for example, if you do click on this and you see this gap of managing finance, that when you click on managing finances, it shows you the top 5 user-rated learner experiences for developing that specific competence. And that could be a course somewhere, it could be an online MOOC, or it could be an evening class at a college near you. It could also be a book or an internship. In a way, we're agnostic to the learning experience, given that many different people have many different learning styles and can choose themselves what the best way is for them to develop that competence. But we would show them user-rated experiences, and then they could select the one that's best for them or choose something else. Of course, the point is that at the end of it, they're able to come back with the evidence that they have that skill, and that could be provided by the educational institution or the organization, for example, where they had their internship. So one part of the next phase of development here is to enable the mapping of learning experiences to the skill database, which would really enable the learner to have a GPS for learning, where they can look at, these are the skills I have, these are the skills I want, here are the top related courses, ranked courses for the skills that I want, and for them to find the one that's appropriate for them. So in the wealth of learning possibilities that are out there, this will help them to navigate that in a much more focused and efficient way. And as they go along on their life learning journey, they can build their skill profile, or they can look at a different direction they want to go in and see, oh, I'm interested maybe in this area now. Let me see how my current skill set maps to the qualifications needed to be able to work in that area, and then focus on filling the gaps. The second major development that we want to build as part of this is the validation process. So imagine next to this remove button here, you have a green validate button, and that would enable either a learning institute or a former employer, for example, to provide evidence of you having that specific skill. And the person's name and the institute's name would stay on that certificate or on that badge, which will probably end up on the blockchain in a kind of block cert structure, so that there's transparency all the way through the system, and someone can always trace back who was the person or the institute that said this person had this skill, and what is the evidence that they provided behind that. So given the depth of this database and the granularity of it, you can also map any other competency framework to it. So as an example, we took UNESCO's competency framework for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we mapped their 8 cross-cutting competencies to this global industry standards database. So here you can see their 8 competencies. This is the outcome read, as it were, of my assessment. It gave me a summary score of 7 as a change maker, as it were, based on how well I was able to do these, perform these skills. But the way we did it is that we mapped each of the UNESCO competencies to the equivalent competence in the global standards database. So here, for example, systems thinking is the UNESCO competence. This is the UNESCO definition of systems thinking. And then all of these questions, though, are drawn from the equivalent competence in the global industry standards database. So if you were to complete this fairly honestly, then you would have a pretty good idea how well equipped you are to perform these skills, and you would also know where your gap is. Now, obviously, this is still a self-assessment, but in the next phase, we're able to actually put in place a validation process for this. But this means that you can take any other system that is out there, any other competence framework that is out there, and nearly all associations have a competence framework, and you can map it against this global standard so that people have a one point of reference, as it were, as a skills passport that they can take with them around the world, because it is developed around global industry standards. So that, let's say, the accounting industry, wants to make sure if somebody says they've got an advanced diploma in accounting and they go to another country, in the other country, people know what that actually means. So this is the UbiPass, and it's the current state of play and what the plans are for the next phase.